Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Happy Friday. This is going to air on Friday, October 3rd. Yesterday was October 2nd, and it was actually my dad's birthday. So, happy birthday to the old man somewhere out there. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Emily. I grew up in the largest fundamentalist polygamist cult in the United States, or actually the world, based on what I can find online. And my father is the prophet of the AUB. So I come on here and I share some of my life stories compared to the Brown family on Sister Wives. I have been doing reviews on Christine's book, Sister Wife, and I am on chapter 9. This chapter is called It Was a Bummer. Cody said we would move back to Utah. I said I would go under one condition, that our kids could go to the school our fundamentalist church ran there. So the AUB, Apostolic United Brethren, or the work, or the group, or the All Red group, goes by many names, but its legal name is the Apostolic United Brethren, has a school out there, and members of the church, their children are welcome to come. Generally, they like to have a parent teach at the school if they have a child that goes there. And for many of you that watch my sister Melanie on Notes to Self 444 and her husband Corey do that, and they do a phenomenal job. Just absolutely love those two, and I absolutely love their channel. It's amazing. Melanie actually taught at the school when we went there. I was in 5th grade when I went there. My mom taught 5th grade math and English. So that school was really interesting because my mom's kids have always kind of been the black sheep of the family. I grew up with my dad having 4 wives and 34 kids. I was number 14 of those 34 kids. And then my dad took his 5th wife when I was 17. So he married her 1 month before I got married, which was 3 months to the day after my 17th birthday. I think that the school was called the Beehive Academy. I'd be wrong on that. Somebody might correct me. But Christine will move back to Utah, but she will do it under the condition that their children get to go to the AUB Polyg Kid School. And we were one of the families that was allowed to wear jeans. I remember really just feeling like an outcast at that school because we weren't, in my mind, proper polygamous kids. We didn't wear, the prairie garb. We didn't, it wasn't expected that us girls would wear dresses all the time. We got to wear pants. It was kind of a rare thing that we wore dresses. I do remember once going down to the FLDS community in southern Utah. It's called Short Creek. I went down there with my mom and 2 of my aunts, and they would go down there and teach how to care for your husband and children health wise. My mom grew up in the health industry, and so she's very knowledgeable under those things. So she'd go down there and teach classes with these women because in the majority of the polygamous communities, you don't go to the doctor. You basically do anything and everything that you can at home. The majority of us plig kids were born at home. My mom had all 11 of her children at home, and I believe my mom had 6 miscarriages and all unmedicated natural births. I took our kids with me for teacher setup day, and they hung out with some kids at school. The car ride home was oddly quiet. "I've got something to tell you," said Janelle's son Logan, sounding like he was about to get in trouble. "I told someone today I have 3 moms," he said, sounding confused. But then he said, he has 2 moms. "Oh," I said, relieved. "Everybody who goes to this school is from a polygamous family, just like you." I think it's so funny as moms what we think we tell our children, only to realize that we didn't tell our children. Apparently, I had failed to mention that the church school was our church. I didn't know how I was going to explain McKelty, Logan said. She said that they had always taught them to be honest if people asked questions, but not to blurt out information about our family. Still, it was always a touchy subject. So they were really relieved that they didn't have to worry anymore. And she taught second grade out at the Plig Kids school. They found a house in West Jordan. And she said for the first 4 months that they lived in that house, that it was just her and Cody and their kids. So while they were in Wyoming, Janelle had lived in her own place in town, and she had a steady job working for the state. For Janelle, the move to Utah was disconcerting because she likes stability. They brought a few of Janelle's kids with them so that they could go to the church school, and so Janelle didn't have to worry about them for the first few months. And then Mary lived with her sister's family in Utah for the first few months, but she still watched Leon often for Mary. After a few months, Mary moved into our house in West Jordan while Janelle remained in Wyoming. She was teaching, and she found out while she was teaching out there that she hadn't taught McKelty how to read well, but that she caught up quickly within 3 months with the rest of her class. In 2003, they bought the big house in Lehi. Janelle decided to move down after seeing the house in Lehi. She said it seemed like the perfect place for us. In this new home, they each had apartments with their own separate entrances, and you'll see that oftentimes in these polygamous communities. A lot of times you'll get either these pockets of a lot of polygamists living in one community, or you'll get some cities that the whole city is full of polygamists. And the AUB, the majority of the AUB members span from Montana all the way down to Mexico. So the founder of the AUB, Roland Allred, back in like the 90s when they were prosecuting polygamists for living polygamy, he had fled from up here down to Mexico. There's a colony of people down in Mexico. At this time, he had one bride, and I hate saying that because she wasn't a woman. She was a 14-year-old girl. And I know a lot of people will come at me in the comments and say, back in those days, they did that. And no, back in those days, they did not do that. 30-something-year-old men did not marry 14-year-old girls, especially as his fifth or sixth wife. Rulon had two 14-year-old wives. Ruth was a gift from John Barlow, and Edith was a gift from a friend from Short Creek. So both of his 14-year-old wives were gifted to him by other polygamous men. And this is the part where I really, really struggle with Christine's book. For the most part, I loved the book. I really feel like it was full of so much information. I read through each one of these chapters. I feel like there's 50 stories I could tell you about each topic in each chapter. It's absolutely fascinating. The history behind it, and to compare their lives to my life, to my mom's life, and also to see how sad it is to watch the different prophets of the AUB and the different abuses that were covered up, brushed under the rug, and very similar to other churches. I don't necessarily care to call them churches, in my opinion. This is a cult, so I have a hard time calling the other churches when they're so similar to the AUB. They also feel like cults to me. There's just so much abuse, and specifically SA, that is swept under the rug. It's dealt with by the priesthood authority. These men are told to pray more. They are told to, do whatever the prophet and the councilmen deem is the appropriate thing to do. They do not involve authorities. The only times that authorities have been involved in these SA cases in the AUB is when someone outside of the AUB, or someone that is so fed up with the abuse, goes to the authorities. From my understanding, from lots and lots of different people that I have spoken to in regards to this topic specifically, there has not been once, no matter the horrific nature of the situation, there's not once that these councilmen have taken these allegations of abuse to the proper authorities. They're dealt with amongst these priesthood men. For Janelle to move to Utah was disconcerting. She likes stability. Imagine that. So weird that a woman, a wife with children, would want stability. Think that most women would think it's, fun to move once a year or every other year or something like that. Like, why wouldn't that be fun, right? Dad wants to do something different, make more money, whatever. So everybody should get on board and be happy about that. Janelle knew that her paycheck helped keep the family afloat. She was really worried about finding another job in Utah with the same benefits. So she says when they moved to Utah, she moved into Mary's house on our property, which we still owned, and kept her job for another year before moving down. She had the basement, and Mary's apartment was above hers. Janelle had the east side of the house, so the top and bottom floors. So Janelle had the east side, top and bottom. Christine's in the basement, bottom, and Mary's in the upstairs. Janelle's kitchen was about 800 square feet. It's a pretty big kitchen. So we could have massive family gatherings. I had 5 kids. Mary had 1 and Janelle had 6. That put us at 16 people. Goodness. So Janelle is pretty much out working consistently, and she has the most kids. Christine is also working, right? She's teaching at the school. She's doing other side jobs, and she's taking care of all 12 kids. I felt necessary both in the community and in my family because I helped educate the kids. I had moved from teaching 2nd grade to teaching middle school. Gosh, I loved those kids, especially the rebel kids or the struggling kids. I so appreciate Christine, the way that she has love of all of these children, regardless of who birthed them. I always remember Christine being so positive and having that loving energy where you just felt content and safe with her. I really remember Mary being just such a spitfire. And I remember Mary's sister, Teresa, the one that died of cancer. And in that family, they definitely had some struggles. We were close to them. If I'm saying this correctly, one of my dad's wives, her sister was married to Mary's dad. So in polygamous families, you will have twins and triplets. So I have a twin. I was born on his 12th birthday. Then I also have another twin who is 6 weeks older than me. And the next set of kids, there's 3 kids that were born within a year of each other. So one was born in August, and then the next 2 were born in April. So these guys are really close. Or the 2 were born in April, the next one was born in August. And a lot of times you'll grow up, you grow up best friends with the siblings that are right there close to your age range. So I also find this chapter really interesting because she's talking about where everyone's located. There is a lot of upset with the upstairs wives versus basement wives. You'll get the doormat wife that goes along with everything. She's trying to make everybody happy. She is looking out for what's best for all the members of the family, not just for herself. Then you get the wives that are always upset, always on edge, always got that little clipped tone in their voice. Everyone walks on eggshells around them and lives under their scrutiny. It's really hard. So my mom was definitely the happy, fun-loving, loves all the kids, wants to be around all of the kids because she loves them each and she loves them individually for their personalities. So I don't ever remember really feeling judged by my mom. I always remember my mom, even to this day. I know that there are times that I'd say awful things, and my mom is never like, yeah, I'm ready for you to go home, or I'm ready to go home away from you. Loves me regardless. I don't think there's anything that I could do to lose my mom's love. And I feel like Christine is that kind of mom. And I think the reason that my mom's kids are strong and so courageous and have the ability to take a stand with our biological father is because of the way that our mom loved us. I love this. I love this so much. All you need to know about kids. The kids just need to be heard and they need to be loved. That's all. That's literally all kids need. They need to be heard and they need to be loved. Listen to them, love on them. It's so simple. Listen to them, love on them. That's what most adults want. So is it really that shocking that that's what the kids want? And that Christine found that and was able to give that to the kids. And she has such a good relationship with them. I had a purpose that would soon change. Mary and I were friends for a while. We even worked as counselors at a girls' camp together through our church for several years. The two of us won all the skit contests. I still, in my mind, can very, very clearly see pictures of Christine and Mary in these skits at girls' camp. They were the talk of the town. They had a blast together. They were so creative. They were super funny. Cody married Mary in 1990, and then Cody married Christine in 1994. So I would have been 12 in 1994. I was 14 or 15. So I would have gone in 96 or 97. So it was around that time that those two were really popular at girls' camp. She says, but none of us would have chosen to be best friends. We talked as sister wives about the constant self-improvement we did to ensure our relationships with each other remained solid. But in the real world, if you have a personality conflict with someone, you probably don't share a house or a husband daily and I want to say infinity and beyond, and to eternity and beyond. Let me read that one more time. We talked as sister wives about the constant self-improvement we did to ensure our relationships with each other remained solid. And I would like to know, just like I'd like to know, what did the nanny do? What do the men do? What do these men do to ensure to self-improve? What do they do? Or do their egos just blow up and they get these big giant heads and they get way too much responsibility? So then they're either these giant egomaniacs or they're overwhelmed with 5, 7, 10 wives and 20 to 40 or 50 kids, sometimes more. And yet it's always the women that need to improve. They need to have a better attitude. They need to love their sister wives more. They need to be more Christ-like. They need to be forgiving. They need. And yet, what do these men do? And when you're in this dynamic, you have these men that go from house to house to house, and the wives and kids haven't seen them for days. So generally for the wife, when dad's coming home, she's making a big yummy dinner. She's going to make sure that the house is as clean as she can possibly get it. She's going to make sure that the kids are on their best behavior. And then in turn, the kids are like, I hate when dad's coming home. In our case, dad came home and whooped the shit out of us. Like, dad came home and beat our asses, generally right when he got home from work. So that was never fun. We never wanted dad to come home. And every single day we would ask mom, is dad coming home tonight? Is dad coming home tonight? And I've heard Cody's kids talk about that also. So she says that she had learned over the years that it takes time to develop a friendship just like it does a marriage. And she said that while they talked often about improving themselves, she says maybe they didn't talk often enough about the commitment, trust, and time a friendship takes. Janelle and I had a squadron of children between us, and all the sister wives worked. So polygamy's been going on now for 200 years almost. We're coming up on 200 years. So I think Joseph Smith started taking wives in like 1829, and then he got a revelation about plural marriage in like 1832. One thing I can tell you for sure, I don't remember about all of the things I was taught when I went to church or to girls' class. I do remember that they were always talking about how to be a good sister wife. Like they sell you this whole dream, but in reality, they're not saying to anyone, these are the problems you're going to run into. These are the really hard things that you're going to come up against. And you're going to need to do A, B, and C if you want X, Y, Z. They're never honest about how hard it is and all that it's actually going to take in order to obtain the front porch rocking chair goal that Robin is always sobbing about. Janelle and I had a squadron of children between us, and all the sister wives worked. She said she felt overwhelmed by teaching, volunteering with Sunday school, helping with kids with homework, getting me and 5 kids into our small apartment, and my marriage to Cody. She didn't have time for a walking club with her sister wives. She didn't have time to go sip wine or paint ceramics or to create a mini book club. She said, would it have mattered? Who knows? She says sometimes she missed that camaraderie that they had in Wyoming, though, even when they were fussing. I didn't have to time out the rolls for our one oven, and that I would have to cook my own things by myself before we all headed over to Janelle's big kitchen for Thanksgiving felt lonely. Soon enough, I told Janelle I would be cooking in her kitchen on Thanksgiving so we could hang out and celebrate the day. Mary would show up later, and it would feel like old times. Even that was short-lived. Mary has said in an interview that she and I did fine as housemates for a while, but our relationship never went deep. She says she thinks that's true and that that's not a dig at either one of them. She says Mary's place on the floor above me was pristine and had a lot of breakables. I felt like she reacted harshly when the kids roughhoused, so much so that I didn't want my kids around her. At her place, they could count on doing something wrong, even as she had an abundance of rules for us to follow about folding towels or whatever. She played her country music so loud that we could hear it throughout the house. It didn't matter if a baby was napping or if Janelle and I were trying to catch up on sleep or spending quiet time with our kids. 10 years after I married Cody, Mary and I fell out. I didn't trust that she would be kind to me, particularly in front of other people. She said demeaning things about me when she was with her family in front of me. My weight, my intelligence, my parenting skills. We could be laughing and telling stories, but then she'd throw a painful dart and I would feel myself deflate. Do we think that Mary is just trying to cause chaos? Do you think that Mary's trying to get a reaction? Like, why do you think that Mary would treat Christine this way? Why could they be together and having a good time, and then Mary would just suddenly stab Christine like that? I think that it was because Mary was so jealous. I really think that Mary falls in love with Cody. She, gets to have this courtship, they date, they fall in love, they're this amazing couple, and then they get married, and then boom, here comes Janelle. So now she's competing with another woman for her very own husband, and she wants a baby. I mean, that you're raised like you want to get married and you want to have babies. If you ask any polygamous girl, what do you want to do when you grow up? She's going to tell you, I want to get married. I want to have babies. What else do you want to do? Well, I want to get married and I want to have babies. It's like programmed in you from conception. You want to grow up, you want to get married, you want to have babies. So I think that this is not a normal way to live. In my opinion, it's not a healthy way to live. They were so young when they all got married. So boom, here's Janelle, 7 months pregnant. What's her relationship like, Cody, right? She's walking into an established coupledom, and then she ends up pregnant before Mary. So she's pregnant with Logan, 7 months. And for some reason, this has always, always, always pissed me off. Even though by the time I was 12, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not living polygamy. I have always hated when a man takes a second, third, fourth, fifth. I don't care. When a man takes another wife and he has a pregnant wife, I don't think that that's necessary. I think that when you're pregnant, your hormones are raging. Everything feels so intense and so extreme. And so to bring a wife in when you have a pregnant wife seems so absurd to me. Why can't you wait? Why can't you wait until your wife gives birth to your baby, not her baby, your baby or our baby, and let that baby have like 3 months before you get married and bring in another wife? And I know your hormones are raging after you give birth also. I guess for me personally, every time I was pregnant, I felt this need for my husband, and I felt this want for him to protect me and to be protective of me. So I think that bringing in a new wife, establishing a new relationship while you're growing a human, it just does not seem wise or smart at all. Mary, even with one child to care for, was the top wife in our polygamy pyramid. We followed her rules when she was around. So they followed the rules when Mary was around just to keep the peace. Her rules felt punitive and unfair. I had to make a decision about what was best for me and my family within a family, and it changed our relationship forever. So again, I think that Mary is punishing Christine for Mary's jealousy. So not only does Nell marry Cody and get pregnant pretty quickly, Christine marries Cody and then she ends up getting pregnant pretty quickly. I'm sure many of you have already heard the story by now. The kids went to the store. McKelty was about 8 years old. They go up to the cash register and she's about 10 cents short. It was little kid stuff. She was probably buying candy. The cashier, who knew us, spotted her the dime. God, I remember that. I remember going to the local drugstore to buy penny candy. And when you're a little kid, you don't calculate tax. So you know that you go in there with $1 or $2 or whatever, and that's what you calculate. You look at the cost of the item and you calculate that. You don't know about tax when you're 8 years old. So I'm sure that McKelty was short about 10 cents. That would be about $1.50 in tax. So Mary's Leon, who was also just a little kid, maybe 9, told Mary about it. Mary lost her mind. She was mad that McKelty had embarrassed her in front of the cashier and that she had embarrassed Leon. She yelled at McKelty, who couldn't understand what she had done wrong. I couldn't either. Yeah. Are you kidding me? You're yelling at an 8-year-old because she's short 10 cents at the drugstore, which is somehow embarrassing to you and embarrassing to your child. I'm sure looking back, Mary has got to be so embarrassed at this story. She's got to be so embarrassed by the way that the family has talked about her on the show. And now for Christine to write this book and for this specific story, because everybody over the last 15 years has said, what did Mary do? What's gone on, right? There's been these things that have been said on the show for years and years and years, and nobody really knows why. Why does the family hate Mary? There's all of these guesses as to what Mary did that was so awful. There's even talk about her being so incredibly abusive. And I think one of the Brown kids said something about Robin saved their life, basically insinuating or directly saying that Robin saved their life from Mary, as if Mary was going to literally kill this child. So I think it's got to be a really harsh thing for Mary. She says, I'd had enough, and my mama bear came roaring. Don't talk to my kids, I yelled. I don't want you near them. I don't want you to come downstairs anymore. Our relationship is done. That is so incredibly intense. And it's not so, people could look at this story and say Christine ended her relationship with Mary over Mary getting upset at Christine's kid. And that's not what this is. Mary had been going after all of them collectively. Mary and Cody are fighting all the time. Mary's going after the wives, talking trash to the wives. You are having a hard time. You're struggling to get along. And then in front of her family, she says something like, yeah, and she can't even lose weight, or she only knew how to parent her kids right. You would hate someone. I can't even imagine. It's so hard. I really like Mary now. Watching Mary glow up has been a really fun thing for me. So it's really hard to read this and to understand it. And I understand it so well because there was this wife in our family. There was this wife who she set the rules. You did what she said. She was the queen bee. She was the boss when she was around, right? Back in, 2012, like 13 years ago. It's my dad's 60th birthday. And let's see, my dad was born in, 52 in 1952. So my dad just turned 73. So yeah, so this was 13 years ago. So it's my dad's 60th birthday, which kind of feels like a big deal, right? This man is turning 60. Now, all my life, from my recollection, my mom planned the majority of the family get-togethers. My mom would post things consistently. She was the one that was planning a lot of the family get-togethers. Well, at that time, my mom wasn't really in a good place. She wasn't really capable of planning my dad's 60th birthday. And there had been a lot of falling out with other wives and whatever the reasoning was behind it. So it's my dad's 60th birthday. At this time, I have a good relationship with my dad. This time, I love my dad. And I'm like, okay, it's his 60th birthday. Nobody's done anything. It's like noon. I don't hear anything by noon. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So I reach out to my mom. What's happening for Dad's 60th birthday? She says, as far as I know, nothing, sweetheart. I think he's going to Aunt so-and-so's tonight, and that's all that I know. And I said, well, Mom, it's his 60th birthday. This is a really big deal. And she's like, yeah, I know, but there's nothing I can do, right? So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to reach out to Dad and I'm going to talk to him. So I reach out to my dad. Hey, Dad, what's going on? Happy birthday, whatever. Now, here I am at this point with small-ish children, right? So I've got 3 relatively small kids. Not so, hey, Dad, how's it going? What's going on? What you doing for your birthday? Oh, nothing much. There's no plans. It would be nice, though, if someone, it is my 60th birthday. That's what I'm saying, Dad. I would love to do a get-together. Okay, well, I work until 6 p.m., so I can't host an event, right? All right, well, where can we go that I don't have to put on a party for 60 people, and B, I don't have to clean up a party of 60 people. So my little brother, Robert, the one that passed away 2 years ago that had Down syndrome, Robert loved this buffet super local to us called Sizzler. Sizzler is a salad bar, steakhouse buffet place, and Robert loved it. Well, my dad loved it too, and it wasn't very expensive. It didn't feel like it was very expensive. So, is it okay, Dad, if I plan a party for your 6th birthday at 6 p.m. tonight at Sizzler? I can close my work like 10 minutes early, and my work is like 7 minutes down the road from Sizzler. So I send out a message to every single wife and every single brother and sister. So basically to my whole family, I send out a message. Today's Dad's 60th birthday. We're going to go to Sizzler at 6 p.m. and have dinner with Dad. I get back a ton of, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you, Emily, for planning this. You are awesome for doing this. So great. We're so happy. Been wondering what's going on for Dad's birthday. So again, it's like 2 p.m., right? So 5:30 comes and my phone rings, and it's the favorite wife, the fun wife, the wife whose rules we have had to abide by. The wife that just decides to get pissy for whatever reason at whatever family event. She calls me up and she says to me something along the lines of, I cannot believe that you planned to have your father's birthday dinner at a restaurant. Are you kidding me? Do you know how expensive it is to go out to eat? Not everyone in this family can afford to go out to eat. And I'm like, whoa, 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 back it up, sister. Hang on. I called Dad and I asked Dad if it was okay. Well, he's supposed to come to my house tonight, and I have friends that are in from England, and we were going to do dinner, and then we were going to hang out. Well, I didn't know any of that. And it's his 60th birthday, and nobody planned anything for him. And when I called him, he said that it was okay that we could do dinner at Sizzler and that he wanted that he was feeling like, it's my 60th birthday. Why didn't anybody plan me a party? She loses her freaking mind. Not everybody in this family wants to go to Sizzler for dinner. Are you kidding me? She's like screaming at me. So I'm like, yo, chill out. Okay. And I like raise my voice to start talking back to her. Like, don't talk to me like this. I didn't do anything wrong. Click. She hangs up on me. Are you kidding me? You just called me and yelled at me for planning Dad's birthday dinner. Okay. So I call my mom and I'm totally fine, right? But I'm pissed. I call my mom. Ring, ring. She answers. Kim, what's going on? I start sobbing. I don't even know why I'm so sorry, Mom. It's okay. It's okay. I'm okay. Aunt Em just called me and she just lost her mind. And this is what she said to me. And can you even believe that, Mom? Like, nobody planned anything for Dad. And I just wanted Dad to feel good about himself and know that he was loved. And it's his 60th birthday. His 60th birthday is a big deal. So I cry on the phone to my mom. I talk to her for like 10 minutes. Of course, she's so soothing. I'm so sorry that happened, sweetheart. Take a few deep breaths. You know, she talks me off of my ledge. And so I hang up the phone with her and I'm just like, wow, what in the hell? It's like 5:45 now. My phone rings. My mom calls me back. Hey, Mom, how's it going? I just called her and this is what I said. My mom's mama bear came out and she was pissed. She was pissed. And mind you, I'm like 29 years old, right? Like I'm not a little kid, but me calling her and then just bursting into tears over that. And it was like she had triggered that inner child in me that hadn't gotten to talk back to her or to put her in her place enough as a child, that it was like that little kid in me that was like, I can't believe you're yelling at me. And I wasn't trying to do anything to hurt anyone. I asked if it was okay. I was told yes. I was told that Dad was excited. And so, yeah, I can understand, you know, if she's got one kid at home plus herself and it ends up being $10 a person, it's $20 to go to dinner. Not everybody has $20 to go to dinner. But I do know that her children would absolutely pay for her and for her other child to go. And I do know, well, and she yelled at me too about my sister. She has one daughter, and, you know, that sister had 5 or 6 kids. And so, you know, how is it fair for that sister that she's got to, you know, go spend $50 just so that she can see her dad for dinner? How is it fair that the rest of us didn't even get invited to come see Dad for his birthday dinner? but you're mad at me that maybe not everybody can afford to come. So anyways, it was one of those things that's just like so frustrating. And it's so many combined emotions and really who's right and who's wrong. And you're going to have this stuff come up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. These issues will come up. You can't have this many family members in one immediate family and not have situations like this. You can have adults, though, that act like adults and that don't yell at children and that treat all children fairly and with respect, regardless of who gave birth to them. Okay, so Christine says, I may have been the mediator between Mary and Janelle, and I know her relationship with Cody was hard, but it wasn't fair for her to take her mess out on my kids or on me. It wasn't safe for us. I had always had fun with Mary and I loved hanging out with her, but ultimately I never knew what to expect. And that's terrible. You don't want to be around someone that you just don't know what to expect. When you're walking on eggshells all the time, you can never relax. Or if you do relax, and I understand this because I've been around multiple people, not just my dad's other wife, but really close, really intimate relationships where people are like this and you're hanging out, you're having a great time. You don't do anything wrong, but you say something that upsets them and suddenly they're just flying off the handle for whatever reason. And so these are relationships that you don't want to be around. And Christine absolutely, in my opinion, made the right decision to end her relationship with Mary. She's not more obligated to the bigger family than she is to her little family of her and her children. That is where the majority of her obligation lies. She is clearly the only one that can and will protect these kids at any level. Cody's not doing it. He never has. We can clearly see that. We've been seeing that. And obviously these other wives aren't, right? And we as moms, it's our job. It's literally our job to watch over and protect our children to the best of our ability. Now, sometimes we are raised in such an abusive environment that we don't fully understand the ways that we need to protect our kids. And so for a long time, we can be allowing things to happen that we have no idea are harmful or abusive to our kids. Now, I think we understand. I'm not talking about what we all as a community would see as the major abuses. I'm talking about things like this. I would consider that a form of abuse. For her to go after and yell at McKelty for being short 10 cents at the store because she was embarrassed or she felt like her child was embarrassed, in my opinion, that's a form of abuse. So, sometimes we allow our spouse or one of our siblings or whatever, whoever, our parents, we allow them to be or behave in a certain way around our children that we might not recognize at the time as abuse. And then when we do recognize that it's abuse, it's our responsibility to remove ourselves and our children from that situation. So I watched that happen with my mom. I watched my mom end relationships later on in life because it was later on in life that she realized how abusive these situations were. Now, when we're taught to be good girls and do what we're supposed to do, the majority of the time we end up being doormats. We end up being doormats to our husbands. We end up being doormats to anyone that either legitimately or thinks that they have some type of authority over us. And so that they think that they can boss us and tell us what to do. And we go along with it because that's the way that we were raised. So I look at my mom and I think my heart breaks for her when I stop and I think about these things because my mom was so severely abused her entire life. She was born into an extremely, extremely abusive family. And then she meets my dad at 15. My dad's 17. He talks her into coming in and living the original principles, the Joseph Smith founded principles of the AUB, of this polygamous lifestyle, celestial eternal marriage. Okay. My mom was raised in the LDS church. So she was raised with most of these teachings. Now, the LDS church had ended polygamy in the church, but it was still openly talked about more back then. It's not anymore. They don't talk about it like that anymore. So there's a lot that the LDS church has removed from their doctrine or has, kind of secretly, quietly hidden away, which is why the LDS church had this document regarding polygamy for 100 years. 100 years. All these polygamists have been saying that this certain event happened. I don't even remember when John Taylor set apart 5 men to continue to live celestial plural marriage. Okay. So the LDS church has this document and they've got it hidden away in a vault for 100 years. And then just super quietly, without really making a fuss, over the summer, like 2 months ago, they just pull this document out and then just kind of release it nice and quietly. So they just release this document. And of course, all of the polygamous people are like, that's what we're talking about, right? Like that document justifies why they live the way that they live. That document literally tells the world that they are living according to the teachings of the original founder of the LDS Church. So Joseph Smith introduced polygamy. And then even when they took it away so that Utah could become a state, they still set certain families apart to live polygamy. Okay, so now you've got these men that were set apart at this meeting of the friends, and you've got 5 of them, or I think it's 5, and who gets the authority, right? So they end up creating, these bigger and bigger families and groups of people to live this doctrine, and who has the proper authority, who holds the keys to the priesthood. So then you get these giant ego maniacs that I hold the proper authority. No, I hold the proper authority. No, I hold the proper authority, which is why there's so many different sects of polygamous cults, and they're all over the valley, and they all can be linked right back to the original LDS church. All of them. They all came down that same path. So it's so incredibly frustrating to live in this community, to live in this state where there's supposed to be separation between church and state, and there's not in the state of Utah. The state of Utah is legitimately run by the LDS church. The LDS church, their net worth, I think someone posted it on one of my videos the other day, it's like $283 billion. Let that sink in for a minute. $3 billion. Are you kidding me? It's so incredibly bizarre. All right. With Cody, things weren't exactly inspiring. Always had to initiate in return for sex. Cody required a back massage, which would turn into a full body massage. He never offered to return the favor. God, imagine that. So she talks about the fact that she did ask him. She asked him to return the favor. His response, "It's not a turn on for me. I'm already tired. I had a hard day at work." The foreplay was for Cody. She says she doesn't know if her sister wives gave Cody massages. We never talked about what did or didn't happen in the bedroom. She felt like she had to give him a massage so he would have sex with her. She just qualified it in her head as that special thing that she did. She spent so many nights in that house crying, and yes, jealous, worse, feeling like it was her fault. If she just tried harder, their relationship might improve. So one night she tells him that she's felt neglected. And this jackass of a man has the audacity to say to her, "I move away from pain and towards pleasure. Am I pained? Does my pleasure matter at all?" No, fucking Christine, it doesn't. Do you not know? You are in the most patriarchal society, and women and children don't matter. The men matter. You are a number. You are so many things, but you are not a patriarchal man. Sweetheart, you go sit down and you wait until I come to you and I want you, and then you're going to do whatever I want or need you to do in order for me to give you meh sex. Are you fucking kidding me? This book, if I wasn't a sailor before, I promise you I am a sailor now. You are an idiot, I said. I couldn't even imagine saying something so hurtful to another person. I'm not smart, he said, but I'm honest. Speaking off the cuff is not honesty. You think about the truth. You figure out the truth. You don't spit out truth. A freaking men. Are you kidding me? Mind blown. This guy is such a bastard. We were taught to continue to work on ourselves, to make ourselves better so we could get that? We can earn our reward in heaven. Even though Jesus says it's not about works, so no man can boast. We have to earn our reward in heaven. But it's hard to work on yourself when you feel like you're worth nothing at all. And that, my friends, is why I named my channel Good Enough, because I completely understand what it's like to feel like I'm not worth anything, to feel like I am not valuable enough. I am not worth enough. I am not good enough. And this shit gets put on repeat in your head. So you grow up being abused your whole entire life, and then you marry into it, and then you raise an entire family. And then finally you realize, my gosh, this isn't about me. This hasn't been about me all along. I've been doing everything I possibly can. I've been doing more than I possibly should have ever done, only for these men to turn around and treat these women like gum on their shoe. Are you seriously over here asking me to change the rules? We've been living this way for 16 years, Christine. Who are you kidding? The audacity that these men have. I look at my mom, who has spent 52 years, 52 years married to my dad. At the 50-year, my little brother, 29 years old with Down syndrome, he dies 6 weeks, 6 weeks. He dies before his 20th birthday. My little sister takes my mom to Disneyland so they can celebrate his birthday, which is coming up in a couple of days. So it's going to be a super emotional weekend because it'll be his birthday on Monday. So we got my dumb dipshit dad over here whose birthday was yesterday. And I didn't even really think about the fact that it was his birthday, or it's so weird. A few years back, I woke up to a text message on my phone and it said that my dad had had a stroke. And I woke up and I read the message and I went, "Mm." And then I woke up and I was like, okay, that's not a panic for me. It was like literally realizing that I was not upset. I didn't wish that on him. I don't want those things for him. And I also don't worry if they do, because he's not part of my life anymore. He's not my dad. He's not a father. And I have spent the last 4 or 5 years I've grieved that. I've really grieved that, deep, deep grief. Like I'm grieving my brother right now. And I can't imagine ever getting to a place where I don't grieve my brother. And I lost my mother-in-law to suicide on May 9th of 2010 on Mother's Day. And she was one of the best, just the best women. She was like the cream of the crop. I mean, there was just something so special and so magnificent about her. She got you. She understood you. And there was never any judgment. We fought in the beginning. We came to blows. We really both liked each other a lot, but it took us several years to really develop our relationship. And she was my best friend when I lost her. And so I still think about that loss, and it is still like, like it just hits you. And like that will never, I don't think that will ever go away. I look at my girls, I look at all five of my girls, and I had my grandson today, and I got to spend the day playing with him because he had his tonsils out. And I look at him and I think, God, Grandma Sue, she would have loved this, she would have just loved him. And every accomplishment that my girls get to, every age, every stage, I look at them and I think, if she only would have known her worth, if she only knew how valuable she was to all of us, and not just us, not just my little family unit, my family, they loved her, and she was so good to all of them. And, those are the really hard losses. It's like there's the before and there's the after. And so I've watched, with the loss of Garrison, and I understand that. There's the before and there's the after. And you talk about them all the time. You incorporate them into anything and everything that you can. And that pain doesn't ever go away. It's been 15 years. This year was 15 years since we lost my mother-in-law. And thankfully, I was able to get together with all five of my daughters and my grandson. And we got pizza. I had to work that day, and so we got together that evening. So the six of us girls and my grandson, and we got together at my 20-somethings, and we get, a bunch of balloons. I'll get a dozen balloons, and we've done it with my big family, gotten all of us together at the park, or, done a barbecue, whatever. We'll tell stories about her. And so then I'll get the acrylic Sharpie markers, the gold and silver, and she loved gold. It's so funny that I'm wearing this gold, and this is her necklace too. It's those losses that just really hit you so hard. And it is such a weird feeling to grieve someone who is still alive. And I'm sure many of you can understand that. And I wonder, how many of Cody's kids are grieving him right now? How many of his kids they just wish that their dad could show them that he loves them. They're enough. And how do you have this whole community of people? You've got 10,000 people in this church, and they teach you all about family and family values and how do you do that? How do you get up in front of your entire congregation and teach and talk about the way that our Savior loves us, the way that the Lord loves us, the way that He's our Father, and speak about family values and things like that, and then come home and beat the shit out of your family or verbally assault your family, and then just the excuse is, well, nobody's good enough all the time, right? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So, I'm still really grieving the loss of my little brother, and 15 years later, I'm grieving my mother-in-law. And so I understand the pain and watching those episodes of Garrison, that 3-part. I cried a lot. I cried a lot for a lot of days because I understand it. I understand it from multiple perspectives. And so my heart just breaks for this family, for all that they're going through, for all that they've lost. And yet in my last video, I talked about, for all that they've gained, what you gain from finally having this loss. Not the loss of Garrison, the loss of Cody and Robin. So, Nico, you leave that kitty alone. So to lose something that you think is so valuable to you, it's really hard. That initial loss is really hard. And then as you realize that that relationship wasn't really creating much value, that was more one-sided and you were having to do a lot of work to even be in that relationship, that's really hard. It's really freeing. You get to that point where it's like you understand, and then there's just this weight. There's this weight, it's this literal weight off of your shoulders, and you can breathe and you can think and you've got freedom and joy in your life that you never knew you could have. You didn't know. I didn't know that on this side of things that life could be so great. And it's damn hard, but you know what? It was way fucking harder before. I'll take this hard any day. So I never want to have relationships in my life like that ever again. Ever, ever, ever again. I never want to have to perform in order to be loved. It just doesn't make any sense. If I have to give you something, if I have to earn your love, if you don't love me because of me, because I'm me, that's your loss. At this point in my life, it's your loss. Like I don't want to have that relationship anymore. And there's been struggles with my siblings, if dad dies tomorrow, you're going to have so many regrets. No, no, I'm not. I'm really not. And that might sound terrible to say. And half of you might unsubscribe because I said it. But that's the truth. And I've had many therapy sessions of if my dad dies tomorrow, how will I feel? And it's taken me a lot of years to process it. And I'm in a place where I can say, I won't be sad when the man dies. And I won't go to his funeral. There's not a relationship there. And I look back over the course of my lifetime and I have had to earn his love. I have had to perform in order for him to love me. I won't be in relationships like that anymore. I don't want them in my life. I don't need them in my life. It's not who I am. It's not for me. This was another hard chapter. It blows my mind to read this book and to just relate these things to my life and to see the way that these things have played out on TV and to have actual comparing situations happening in my own family as Coyote Pass is being divided amongst these wives as this starts to break down. And Cody and Robin are like 90% owners of the family property. At that time, my mom is in Disneyland with my little sister, and my dad has the legal wife. Apparently, he asks her to have a locksmith come in and make a master key to my mom's house. Okay, so in Pligville, everything is essentially titled to the man. There's nothing in the woman's name, nothing. It's generally all in the man's name. And then if he has a legal wife, you better pray to God that she's a kind wife. And without telling the family, my dad took a legal wife, and then she becomes 50% owner of all the assets, all the family assets. Suddenly, this woman who may or may not hate you, and she hates them all. She's not friends with any of them. Now suddenly she owns your property because none of this has been laid out or thought about or talked about, or because everyone is just expected to be good and to do the right thing, even though I'd say 75-80% of them don't and won't. So women walk away with nothing. So the locksmith comes, she rekeys my mom's house. My mom has a friend go in on Wednesday and she feed the cats, cleans out their litter boxes, changes out their water, gets them good. Comes back on Sunday, he won't work. Thank God she's a limber one because she ends up having to climb through my mom's front window. So she calls my mom, gets my mom on FaceTime on my sister's phone, shows my mom the lock on both her doors, and my mom's like, yeah, those aren't my locks. So 5 weeks after my little brother dies, maybe 6. He died on August 16th. His birthday is on October 6th. And this is like October 7th or 8th. They go in and they rekey her house. So she has spent 50 years giving and giving and giving everything that she has, everything that she can possibly give, she gives to this family. And then they turn around and they lock her out of her own home and they lock her cats inside. And maybe some of you have seen some of my summertime content. They flood her basement. They are watering their property 4 times a week for 45 minutes a zone. and they run it through twice. So all of the grass, all of the property around my mom's house is being watered for 90 minutes 4 times a week. They flood out her basement. They do easy $15,000, $20,000 in damage in her basement. And do you think they give a shit? No. Do you know what my dad says? My dad says, well, your sisters are down there. Ask them what they're going to do about it. Dad, they're not going to do anything about it. We need the homeowner's insurance. Well, guess what? The homeowner's insurance isn't going to pay for it because they don't cover when you just drown your fucking house. That's the most idiotic thing you can do. They're not going to cover your interior when you're literally just running water on the exterior, so much so that it's seeping in through the foundation. You're running so much water that it's seeping in through the foundation in the hottest month of the year. But guess what? He's the man and she's the favorite flying monkey. So nobody cares. They don't give a shit. Sucks to suck. Sorry about your luck. So then what do you have to do? You have to literally get an attorney and take them to court. So yeah, we're going to watch Cody divide up Coyote Pass this season. But do you think for 1 second that if that wasn't a storyline on the show and if these women hadn't gotten lawyers involved, that Cody would have done that? There's not a chance in hell. There's not a chance in hell. And these women don't ever think that this man will do that to them. They think he loves them so much and that they live such a righteous, like more righteous than righteous lifestyle that they never have to worry about these things. But everything is controlled by the men and everything is controlled by the church. And unless you are their favorite, then it just sucks that you suck. So it's a doozy, guys. If you stayed with me through all of that, thank you very much. If you like my crazy sailor mouth and all of my chaotic thoughts, please feel free to subscribe and share. This has been an interesting journey and I'm excited to go the distance. I've got a lot of stories and, people have been asking for the truth. What's going on? They've been asking for 15 years. What's going on? And this is book number 1, guys. This is book 1 out of 15 kids and 5 adults. So this is book number 1. I think we're going to get a lot of good stuff. And from what I've heard from a relatively reliable source that this probably isn't the last season of Sister Wives. So I'm interested to see where they're going to take things. Season 20s were, it's filmed and it's edited. And these episodes are coming out every week now. So I'll bet you they're working on 21. We're going to have a lot to talk about, and I think we're going to have a pretty fun time doing it. So I'm excited. I am super grateful. I hit 1,000 subscribers. Actually, I think I was at 1,050. That feels like such a big deal. I think I posted my first video like a month ago. So thank you guys all so much. I'm super appreciative. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think I need to start thinking about doing a live and taking some questions and I'm filming these and then I'm editing them and I try not to edit too much, but I definitely edit out a lot of ums and likes and pauses and, chapstick and all of that. So I think that we are coming up on the weekend and I would love to do a live. I think I might be terrified to do a live. I might need to go hang out with Melanie and Corey over at Notes to Self and hop on one of their lives, then do my own live, have them kind of give me some tips and tricks and info on all that before I do it myself. But if I do, you guys will be the first ones to know. So thanks so much for being here. Thanks for spending this time with me. And thank you all so much for all of your love and support in the comments. It's blown me away. It blows my mind. I'm trying super hard to get back to everyone. My little girls and I had COVID for 2 weeks. We're just back on our feet. And so just kind of trying to play catch up on the things that we missed during that time. But I will see you all again soon. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Have a great day.